This is during the time of colonization, and so the first thing that happened was visitors from the outside came to the kingdom of Buganda, which was about a fourth of present Uganda.
In present-day Uganda, Buganda has played a central role in the region's history, politics, and culture.
I think it was the biggest kingdom in Africa at the time. They had Muslims that would come, Arabic Muslims that came to the king, and they were involved with trade. And then the king allowed the Muslim faith to be taught there. Some of the members of the court were interested, and they were especially interested in the mystery of God, which the Muslim missionaries spoke of. But then after that came a Protestant missionary, so he brought Christianity, and a number of the royal officials were interested in that as well. And so some became Muslim, some became Protestant Christian, and then the Catholic missionaries came last of all, and it was by the White Fathers, called White Fathers, not because of their skin color, but because of their habit. And they had everything against them because they didn't really have government backing. They came just as missionaries, they came last, and there was a lot of anti-Catholic bias that preceded them. Despite all of that, a lot of the members of the royal court, they were fascinated by the priests because of celibacy and their dedication and austerity, and so they wanted to hear the case for Catholicism, and many of them were convinced and then became Catholic. And I think the Catholic faith became the most prominent after that. There was an initial king that was open to Christianity, but he was reluctant to become Christian because he had many wives and he had to give them all up except one. But then there's the second king, his son. The missionaries were hoping he would be better and more friendly, but he was actually worse. He was into drugs and other kinds of immoral behaviors, and a lot of times he would ask his royal officials who were Christian to do immoral things, killings and other like sexual behaviors and so on, and they refused to. And in a sort of fit of rage, he basically said all the Christians over here to be separated from the others, and then basically put them to death in different ways in different times. So some of them were burned to death, but others were hacked, and it depended, but it's sort of a crackdown on Christians. They were put to death for their faith and for righteousness' sake, you could say.
This demonstrates how Charles Lwanga was tortured. These are reeds, dry reeds. They catch fire very easily. This is a yoke. He wanted his head to remain. The picture of Namugongo was to burn people alive to death.
Charles Lwanga was only 25 when he was martyred in 1886. Only he was killed here. The rest were set ablaze at the official execution site.
Without fail, they all went to death. That none of them recanted their faith or apostatized. And so they all died heroically. The youngest was Kizito. He died at like 13. And he was even shaking, but Charles Lwanga, the night before he died, encouraged him, and he was faithful until death.
As he was burning Charles Lwanga, he was laughing. But Charles Lwanga was saying his prayers, Amen, Amen, my God. And on one occasion he told him, Senkol, I wish you knew how sweet it is. I wish you too became a Christian. Can you please release me a bit and I rearrange the firewood? Those were, that's what he said.